In a world of multiverses, swinging through the skies of New York, three Spider-Men have captured our hearts. But one stands out, not just for his web-slinging, but for his raw emotion, pain, and humanity. That's right, today we're diving deep into why the Amazing Spider-Man, yes, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, is arguably the best Spider-Man. Let's start with the heart of any Spider-Man story, Peter Parker. And Andrew Garfield, he gave us a version of Peter that felt raw, flawed, real. He wasn't the perfect nerd with neat hair and tidy clothes. He was the messy, brooding teenager who hid his pain behind sarcasm and a hoodie. This Peter doesn't crave attention. He doesn't fit in. He's grieving his parents. He's questioning everything. And that makes him the most human version of Peter Parker we've ever seen. He's awkward around girls, stutters in conversations, and can't express what he's feeling. Sound familiar? That's because he's more than a superhero. He's us. A teenager just trying to survive high school, grief, and responsibility all at once. He lashes out. He makes mistakes. He ignores Uncle Ben's advice. But those aren't flaws in the story. They're part of the journey. Andrew's Peter grows. He learns. And it's that growth that makes him special. And let's talk about grief. Garfield doesn't act it. He feels it. When Uncle Ben dies, when Gwen's father dies, when Gwen herself dies, Peter carries it all. He doesn't shake it off in the next scene. He breaks under the weight of it, and he still finds a way to keep going. That's not just a superhero story. That's our story. Losing, hurting, trying, and still finding a way to show up for others. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker isn't just the most human Spider-Man. He might be the most relatable hero in the entire Marvel Universe. If there's one thing that sets Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man apart, it's the emotion. His story doesn't just include loss, it's defined by it. It begins with the loss of his parents, then the death of his Uncle Ben. And each time, we see Peter crumble, not as a superhero, but as a person. That scene where he holds Uncle Ben in his arms? The tears, the confusion, the guilt? It's haunting. And Garfield delivers it with devastating honesty. This isn't just a guy who wants justice. He's a kid trying to make sense of a world that keeps letting him down. And through it all, his emotions never feel forced. They feel earned. His relationship with Gwen is a roller coaster too, built on love, fear, and consequence. When he promises Gwen's father to stay away from her, he doesn't know how to keep it, because he loves her. And that internal conflict, doing what's right versus what feels right, is the emotional core of his character. Even when Gwen talks about hope and bravery at graduation, you can see Peter trying to smile through the pain. He's torn between being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And that duality breaks him in ways we've never seen in other versions. And then there's Gwen's death. One of the most shocking and emotionally charged moments in any superhero film. He catches her, but too late. That sound, the silence, his reaction. That wasn't just Spider-Man failing, that was Peter Parker breaking. The grief lingers. He stops being Spider-Man. He disappears. And it's in those quiet moments, at her grave, watching the world move on, where Garfield's performance shines the brightest. This isn't just sadness, it's soul-deep grief. But even after all that, he comes back. Because that's what Spider-Man does. He keeps going. Not because he's fearless, but because he's hurt and still chooses to protect others. That resilience, that emotion, that's what makes this arc unforgettable. One of the most important elements in any Spider-Man story is romance. And let's be real, no Spider-Man couple has ever had the chemistry that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone brought to the screen as Peter and Gwen. From the very beginning, their connection feels natural. Not written, not forced, just two people slowly, awkwardly falling for each other in the most authentic way. Their banter is playful. Their conversations are filled with little pauses, nervous energy, subtle smiles. All the real-life stuff that makes young love feel genuine. You can't fake that kind of chemistry. Why? Because Andrew and Emma weren't just acting. They were dating in real life. And it shows. And because their love is so real, their goodbye hurts that much more. The moment before the final battle, when they kiss, knowing this could be the end, it's not just romantic. It's tragic. And then, oh, she's gone. That single moment shattered audiences. Not just because a character died, but because it felt like a real breakup, sudden, sharp, and irreversible. Their love story didn't end happily ever after. It ended with heartbreak. And in doing so, It became the most powerful and memorable romance in all of Spider-Man cinema. Every look they share, every lingering glance, it's layered with real affection. There's a comfort between them that makes their relationship feel lived in. It's sweet, it's awkward, it's real love developing in real time. But what makes their bond even stronger is how equal it feels. Gwen isn't just a love interest. She's smart, independent, brave, and Peter respects that. She chooses to be in danger, and he trusts her. That dynamic? It's rare in superhero films. Let's switch gears for a moment from emotion to style. Because when it comes to the visual spectacle of Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's version absolutely nailed it. Let's be honest, Garfield's web-slinging scenes are, hands down, the most beautifully choreographed in all of Spider-Man cinema. Every swing, every twist, every rooftop dive feels like a dance with gravity. It's not just movement, it's art. Remember that first-person point-of-view swing from the first film? It was bold, immersive, and honestly breathtaking. It made you feel like you were Spider-Man. The way Garfield moves, he's agile, flexible, and fast. He swings with finesse, often using physics-defying parkour tricks midair. It's almost acrobatic. Compared to Tobey's steady movements or Tom Holland's more tech-aided style, Garfield's Spider-Man feels the most athletic and organic. And it's not just the flash, it's how these movements are used in storytelling. Like when he slowly removes his mask to comfort a child on a burning bridge. That scene blends action with empathy, proving that his movement isn't just flashy, it's purposeful. Now let's talk about that suit. While the first TSM suit was experimental and divisive, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 gave us what many fans consider the perfect comic-accurate costume. Wide, expressive eyes, a sleek, aerodynamic design, bright reds and blues with perfect contrast. That suit was straight out of the comics. Clean, sharp, iconic. And the way that suit moved on screen? It wasn't overly CGI'd. It wrinkled, got dirty, ripped during fights. It felt real. Like something a teenage genius could actually put together and wear in battle. Garfield's Spider-Man looked like a hero and moved like one too. The web-slinging was exhilarating, the stunts were inventive, and the suit, especially in TSM 2, might just be the best version we've ever seen on screen. In short, Andrew Garfield didn't just play Spider-Man, he made Spider-Man look better than ever before. And that web-slinging? Pure cinema. Back in 2014, things weren't looking great for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was criticized for being overstuffed, the Sinister Six setup fell flat, and Sony's plans were, well, a bit messy. Garfield himself loved the role, you could see it in every interview. But the pressure from the studio, the constant rewrites, and the behind-the-scenes politics, it cut his Spider-Man story short. Fans were divided. And just like that, the Garfield era ended. Then came the reboot. A new Spider-Man. A new universe. And for a while, it seemed like Andrew's version would fade into forgotten film history, a missed opportunity, a what could have been. But then, everything changed. The multiverse cracked open, rumors spread like wildfire, and suddenly, there was hope. Could we really be seeing all three Spider-Men together? And then, boom, there he was, in full costume, in a dimly lit alley. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man returned, and the crowd exploded. But this wasn't just fan service. This was closure. That moment when he catches MJ, the same way he couldn't catch Gwen, wasn't just a rescue. It was redemption. His expression, that tearful smile, it said everything. Garfield stole the show with humor, heart, and raw emotion. He reminded the world what made his Spider-Man special, that he was never the problem, he was the highlight. The fans came full circle. Now, people are begging for more. Give him Amazing Spider-Man 3, trended worldwide. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was recognition. We finally saw what Andrew had been doing all along, giving us the most emotional, authentic Spider-Man of them all. He may not have had the longest run, but Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man got something even better, a second chance. And he made every second count. At the end of the day, the best Spider-Man isn't just the one who swings the coolest or cracks the funniest jokes. The best Spider-Man is the one who inspires us, who reminds us that pain doesn't define us, how we rise from it does. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man hurts. He fails. He grieves. But he also keeps going. He picks himself up, time and time again, not because he's invincible, but because he knows someone out there still needs saving. That moment on the bridge, When he saves the little boy and hands him the mask, that's what Spider-Man is about. It's not about glory. It's about giving people courage, hope, a reason to believe. Garfield Spider-Man doesn't just fight supervillains. He connects with people, helps the helpless, and reminds us that kindness is just as heroic as a punch or a web swing. Even in No Way Home, his words carry weight. I love you guys. He says it with sincerity because he knows what it means to lose. And he knows how precious it is to still be standing. That's why Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man lives on, not just on screen, but in the hearts of fans who saw themselves in him. The outsiders, the broken, the ones still trying to find their way. He made them feel seen. Because in the end, Andrew Garfield gave us a Spider-Man who wasn't perfect, but one who kept trying. And maybe that's what makes him the best Spider-Man of all. So what is the legacy of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Is it just about the films? The costume? The swings through the city? Or is it something deeper? Something that stayed with us long after the credits rolled? At first, his Spider-Man was seen as the in-between, not Tobey, not Tom. A version some overlooked, some dismissed. But over time, people started to realize he was something special. When he returned in No Way Home, the reaction wasn't just nostalgia. It was healing. For fans, for the actor, for the character who never got his final chapter. We saw a Spider-Man who had grown, who had lost everything, but still showed up, who found peace in helping others heal, even if he hadn't fully healed himself. That's legacy. That's the impact. And Andrew? He loved being Spider-Man. He understood what it meant, not just to wear the mask, but to carry the weight of it. He respected the fans, the history, the pain, the joy. He gave everything he had to the role. Even now, fans are still hoping, wishing for the Amazing Spider-Man 3, for the final swing he never got. Because when someone gives you that much heart, you can't help but want to see them fly again. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man represents more than just another version. He's the reminder that we all stumble, that we all break. But if we keep getting back up, if we keep trying, we're still heroes. And maybe that's why, to so many of us, he will always be the best Spider-Man. Tobey started it all. Tom carries the torch. But Andrew Garfield gave us the most human Spider-Man. The one who didn't always win. The one who made mistakes. The one who fell and got back up. He reminded us that even when the world feels like it's crashing down, there's always a way back. And maybe that's the most amazing part of all. This is why the Amazing Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man.